Hi everyone, my name is Hanura Destin Mahatma, and today I'm going to share a story entitled Malin Kundang Rises. Let's the story begin. The coastal village had long been overshadowed by the silent, colossal stone figure on the shore. For 100 years, it had stood a stark, silent monument to a son's arrogance and a mother's curse. This was Malin Kundang, the prosperous merchant who had disowned his humble mother, instantly transformed into rock. Legend held that his stone heart finally cracked when a single torrential rain washed away a century of pride, forcing a whisper of regret from the petrified lips. Mother, I'm sorry. Forgive me. The confession, sincere and full of grief, was his last act before the curse's ultimate halt. Now, in the dead of moonless night, the stone began to simmer, not with the wet sin of the sea, but with an internal brittle light. The stone cell fractured with a sound like distant thunder, not exploding, but crumbling inward, allowing a man to step out into the sand. Malin Kundang, no longer stunned, but flesh and bone, stood weak and dead. His fine merchant's clothes were dust, replaced by rock spoon cloth that felt alien, yet familiar. The world he saw was both the same and utterly strange. The fishing boats were slicker, the houses built of concrete instead of wood, and the face of a few late-night villagers who witnessed his emergence were etched with fear and disbelief. They had seen their legends walk. Their great sin had been returned to them. He stumbled toward the village, the wake of a century pressing down on his reserved feet. The village elder, an ancient woman whose grandmother had told her the legend firsthand, confronted him. She did not scream, but spoke with a voice that cut like a whetted knife. You speak of 100 years of pain, Malin, she hissed, pointing to a trembling finger at the fragment of his stone prison. What of the 100 years of shame you broke upon your mother's memory? What of the lesson that we have had to live by under your shadow? Malin realized his resurrection was not a joyous return, but an interrogation. He carried the curse even without the stone, for his name was a synonym for vilely impeached. His attempt to fit into the modern world were painful. He was a ghost in a strange land. He tried to speak of his remorse, but his words were met with cold skepticism. His once smooth merchant hands were now scarred by the stone of a shop window. He saw not the proud man he remembered, but a man withered by 100 years of silent penance. He was a thief, unable to reclaim his past wealth or understand the present complexities. His one mission is to find his mother's grave and offer a final, sincere apology. It was complicated by the fact that the cemetery had moved, the landmark had changed. The true penance, he realized, was not the stone, but the enduring consequences of his monstrous choice. Malin spent the next few weeks tracing the ancient path, listening to the new whisper that survived about his mother, Mandy. He ignored the fearful stare and the scornful remark. He began to do the simple, menial tasks he had scorned as a young man, clearing refuse from the beach, helping the fishermen man nets, and carrying water for the elderly. He spoke little, but his action, performed with a quiet, thoughtless humility, began to chip away at the century of ill will. He was not seeking forgiveness from the villager. He was seeking work in his second chance. One afternoon, a young girl, unburdened by a legend spear, approached him as he was stacking firewood. She pointed toward a small, overgrown hillock near the new community center. The stories say the rock stood near the old house, she said simply. Grandpa say the land was swallowed by the sea, but the hills used to be the backyard. A light sparked in Malin's eyes. He rushed to the spot, clearing the thorny bushes and tangled pine with his bare hand. Beneath the ticket, he found it, a small, withered stone, not grand or carved, but simply placed at his mother's forgotten grave marker. He sank to his knees, not to lament his past, but to finally connect with the present truth. He ran his callous figure over the smooth surface. "Mande," he whispered, the name raw and heavy on his tongue. He did not ask for the forgiveness he had already uttered as stone, but promised to live a life worthy of her memory. He chose to remain in the village not as a wealthy merchant, but as a humble, helping hand. A quiet figure who knew the cost of pride. His true resolution was a life of service, living out of a lesson the stone had taught him. The legend of Malin Kundang now had a second part. The stone scattered on the beach became a reminder of the curse. The man quietly working in the village became a living testament to the redemption. The villagers stopped calling him Malin the Accursed and simply called him Pak Malin. He was old, withered, and utterly without wealth, but he was free. His presence no longer cast a shadow of shame, but a light of hope, a constant, silent assurance that even the greatest mistake can, through time and genuine chance, finally be forgiven. The sea still crashed on the shore, but now the story it told was not of mother's wrath, but of a son's return in the end. Thank you.